You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome, or welcome back. This is our 7th show for today, our 17th show since Wednesday, and this is the show that I started it all off with. Stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. I started this show because of my work with the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, and I run a support group, and I wanted to give people an opportunity to come forward and share their story. I kept my story of living with ulcerative colitis a secret until 2018, and that was not a great thing to do. So I want to encourage people to come forward, share what it is that they're going through. I am your host, producer, director, and broadcast engineer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and my guest today has her own amazing story, and I can't wait to bring her out. Let us welcome Lisa Toney to the stage. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. It's just such a delight for me to be with you.
Thank you. It's a delight to be with you as well. And when I read your story, I was very moved, and I thought, oh my gosh, we met for a reason. So I love how that happens in life when you have these connections that you're brought together. So as you know, this program is all about sharing stories to help other people feel comfortable to come forward. And I don't want to steal any thunder from your story, but you've had to deal with adversity with family members and then with yourself with a surprise diagnosis. So let's start in the beginning. I know you grew up in Michigan and then you moved, and why don't you take it from there?
So when we moved to Florida, my dad had said, we're going to move to the warmest place that I can find in the country, which turned out to be the Florida Keys. And back then it was definitely the pioneer land of really crocodiles and blue heron and things that you normally just see in PBS shows or documentaries on the Everglades. So it was remarkable.
And when you made this trek, obviously there's a big difference in climate and surroundings. How did that have an impact on your life?
You know, it's quite amazing when you go from a big city into a little tiny town where you don't lock your doors. Everybody knows everybody. We had no movie theaters. We had no shopping malls. We had no fast food. We had no traffic lights. So I grew up in a very, really enchanted life for me, and everything was on the water. Everything was about being outside. We didn't even have air conditioning or heat in our schools. So, you know, for coming into that type of environment, it was really beautiful and it was really fun. So everything we did was with the water. We grew up, my dad built our house up on stilts right on the water. So our best friends in the backyard were a pod of manatee.
That's fantastic. I love that when you're in a nice environment, it just feels so good. And I think mentally what it does for you, because we know during this lockdown, some people have been locked in a room with no windows. I mean, imagine, or you're looking at a wall or you're looking at a chimney or something, and you have to do that for 18 months. So it sounds like you had this beautiful surrounding. And then in what you wrote, I read that you met your Prince Charming. Tell us more about that.
So I went away to college to the University of South Florida up in Tampa, which at the time, imagine coming from Plantation Key, no traffic lights. I didn't know directions at all. I only knew if you lived Oceanside or Bayside. And here my parents dropped me off in this metropolis, Tampa. And it was a big adjustment for me. And I lived in a co-ed dorm, and my husband at the time, I only knew him as a soccer player. He was on all scholarship for soccer playing. I only knew him because I volunteered and worked in the cafeteria, so I knew him by number. And I would click his number when he would come in the morning for breakfast, and he was so kind and so funny. And I thought, wow, I'd really love to get to know him better. Someone mentioned to me, oh, do you know Dale Toney? And I thought, oh, what a funny name, Dale Toney, like Jim Bob. I wonder what his last name is. Come to find out, Toney was his last name. So it was really love at first sight. And we've been together for 38 years.
Oh, congratulations. I love that story. You're making me laugh, which is it's good. It's good to have levity in life, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot. Humor gets you through everything.
Yes, it does. So you're married to this person you love, and then you have children, and then what happens?
So, I always touted myself with good health. I follow very healthy practices as far as exercise and eating well, certainly not perfectly, but eating well and balanced. And it was in 2010 that my mom actually was diagnosed with a very rare neuroendocrine cancer. She was diagnosed on January 4th and passed on January 28th. So it was 24 very short, very difficult days. Of course, in retrospect, it's a blessing because she didn't have to suffer. And for me, I never thought more about it. So as life goes on, as it does, you forget to take care of yourself. You don't put yourself first. I was 53 and I went for my very first colonoscopy. And although you're supposed to have it at 50, I felt fine. I had no type of any indication that something was wrong. I had no problems with health. I had no issues. And when I went in for the colonoscopy, thinking I'm going to have the best nap ever and come out, when I came out, the doctor said, there's a mass so large in your colon that we can't touch it. And we need you to go see a surgeon immediately. So it was something that I'll never forget. Sitting in that office on a Monday, and Tuesday, I was sitting with a surgeon who specializes in colon cancer.
And as I said to you backstage, when I read that, because of what I've been dealing with myself, and then being on the board of the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, I thought I could see in my mind you sitting there and getting that diagnosis and then thinking, what does this even mean? What am I supposed to do with all this information? And for people watching, it's really important to get your colonoscopy. No, it's not pleasant. It's not, but everybody needs to have it done. So back to your story. Were you feeling differently in any way? You mentioned that maybe you weren't taking care of yourself as you do now, or you did, but did you feel sick at all? Did you have any bleeding? Did you any signs?
So I think that was the most disconcerting part of the whole experience, is that I felt fine. So where the mass was located is in your cecum, which is the actual bottom of your colon. So there was no blockage. There was no indication that anything was wrong, no cramping, no bleeding, no issues with bowel movements. So it was actually a silent cancer. And that is something that, for me, I needed to speak up right away to let people know, when you are 50, give yourself a birthday gift and get and schedule your first colonoscopy. So the colonoscopy itself is nothing. You are asleep. It takes just minutes, and there is zero discomfort, zero pain. The only part that is uncomfortable, and it doesn't hurt, is the prep time beforehand. So you're drinking or taking an actual substance or shake or liquid that is going to empty out your entire system. Because when the doctor goes in with the scope, they want to see a clean bowel. They want to see everything so they can check all through the colon, all through your body, if there's anything of concern, any shadows, any polyps, anything. So imagine 8 centimeters is larger than a baseball. So when you have something like that, I'm so sorry, excuse me. When you have something like that, you are stopped in your tracks, trust me. So when I went to the doctor the next day, to the specialist who specializes in removing cancerous tumors, masses, anything that has to do with the colon, with your digestive system, he absolutely showed my husband and I that if you don't have this mass removed within 30 days, it is going to metastasize and go throughout the rest of your organs. It is attached to the wall of your cecum, and we are going to have to remove that completely and all the lymph nodes surrounding it. So it was life-changing for certain.
Incredible story. And again, to people who are out there watching, colon cancer I don't think it had as much attention as it does now. Like it's people are talking about it now. People are encouraging each other. Everyone should get a colonoscopy by the time they're 50. And then after that, depending on your situation, I think it's different number of years for every person, but it's important to get that first one for sure.
It absolutely is. And the follow-up, depending on what your diagnosis is, of course, changes. You know, if you have a clean colonoscopy, it's 5 to 10 year follow-up. If you have polyp, it's 3 to 5 year follow-up. And if you have something like I did, after that, I had colonoscopies every 6 months for the first 2 years. And when I tell you, I was happy as could be to do that, because what was removed and how I progressed after that saved my life. So you make that decision very quickly on what you want to do. Do you want to follow up for yourself, for your family, or do you want to take a chance? I wasn't going to take another chance. So that to me was crucial. So again, I implore on everyone, it's so simple to make the appointment. It is nothing. It's really, you know, if you get a booster shot, that's more painful and more uncomfortable than getting a colonoscopy. If you get a root canal, that's more uncomfortable than getting a colonoscopy. So to me, it's just a no-brainer, right? That if it doesn't hurt and it's doing the best for you and it's saving your life, absolutely do that. And I constantly am encouraging people. And in fact, I will volunteer to go with loved ones. I'll sit with you. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. It's no problem. Let me sit with you during the prep. I'll bring you magazines. We'll chat. You know what? It's real life. And that's what we have to do. Make it real and simplify it and reduce it down to not having fear, because it's all anticipation. And if you can learn that just making that normal and making it normal conversation, then it's okay.
That's absolutely right. Well said. We are going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors. Please stay around because there's more to Lisa's story, and we definitely want to hear it. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Bella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
I tried to ignore it, but my stomach issues were out of control. I couldn't fix them on my own. It was time to do something. A friend said the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation could help me find a specialist. Feels good to finally have a plan. Don't hide your symptoms. Get help at spillyourguts.org today.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back. You're watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. And my guest today is Lisa Toney. And Lisa is being very vulnerable and sharing with us what happens in her life. So she lost her mother after she was diagnosed, I think 24 days. Is that what you said?
Yes, correct.
24 days after her diagnosis, she passed away. Lisa went for a colonoscopy at the age of 53 and received some shocking news that she had cancer. And if she didn't do something about it, within 30 days, it was going to be all through her organs. And so imagine what that must be like. And tell us how you are today, health-wise.
So today, miraculously, it will be actually on July 1st, I will be 5 years cancer-free. Thank you. So how fantastic is that?
That's
Go ahead.
It's amazing. And I love what you shared before, that you are willing to go with family members and friends to take them to get the colonoscopy or sit with them when they're doing the prep. I think that's the part that people, it's to your point, going for the colonoscopy is not painful. They put you out and it's over. You wake up, you have some juice and you're ready to go home. But it's that leading up to it that people don't like, that part, the clean out. And, you know, just to share a story, when I had my first colonoscopy, I wasn't quite under, and the doctor, it's a teaching hospital. He's still my gastroenterologist all these years later, but he had residents in the room with him. And I heard him say, "Notice this is an example of a patient who didn't do a very good prep," which is true because I only drank half of the stuff. And I never forgot that I got like an F for prep, so, but it's not a hard, it's not a hard thing to do. So just please do it. Make a point to go and book a colonoscopy. In fact, I'm going to do it. I put it off because of the pandemic, but thank you for being here. I'm going to go and book mine because I should have already done it. So, okay, so let's go on to your story. You married your Prince Charming, you adopted, had your own, fostered, big family. Tell us about that. Very exciting.
So I love children. I've always loved children. And my husband and I had always talked about creating family, not only through biological birth, but through adoption. So unfortunately, not knowing, I have a lupus antibody in my system. And each time I became pregnant, that antibody would attack the pregnancy. So I could carry 3, 4, 5 months, and then unfortunately would go into labor and deliver stillborn. So it was enormously traumatic, enormously exhausting. And after 11 years of trying, all the specialists said to me, Lisa, you need to stop. So it wasn't stopping me from creating a family. It was just stopping me from continuing to get pregnant to create through birth. We found a just magnificent adoption group called Deaconess House in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And when we were able to have Max and pick him up, he was 21 days old and the perfect child. And of course, 9 months later, even though I ignored it, I gave birth to Joshua. So that's how things happen, right? Even though I could get pregnant, I couldn't carry. And at the time, my doctor said, well, we know what's going to happen. I said, exactly. I'm just going to ignore it and enjoy Max. So see what happens. I asked for one perfect baby and I got 2 in 1 year. After that, as the boys got into their preteens, I was always very big on having our house as the safe house, the playing house, have everybody over. I didn't mind. My husband, of course, was wondering why the heck I would go to Costco every week and buy cases of Juicy Juice and who the heck am I feeding and what am I doing? But that was what filled me up, was to have everybody over. And as the boys got a little bit older, sometimes they would come home and say to me, Mom, so-and-so doesn't seem to be doing so well, or I noticed so-and-so is having a lot of problems. And I would say to them, well, ask them if they want to come to our house for a little bit, and I'll talk to their parents. So one thing led to another, and after a few years, I kind of accumulated 6 more boys. So, which has been an enormous blessing, and I love it. So imagine 8 boys and just me. So a lot of Clorox wipes in the bathroom, I would have to tell you. So they have been just a remarkable inspiration for me. They are my why. And it is one of the reasons why it's so important that I feel my best so I can do for them. Our oldest son suffers with mental illness and addiction. So prior to finding out about my cancer diagnosis, we had already started going through a very difficult time of learning what Max had and what the diagnosis would be. And I would have to say, carrying that around and being quiet about it and not saying anything and holding it in because you wanted to have the pretty family, the perfect family, the available and approachable family. And that was definitely the wrong thing to do, because my doctors felt holding that stress in was the precursor, aside from genetically being predisposed, to what brought on that cancer in the colon.
I'm back here thinking to myself, what a hand you were dealt to have to deal with all of those things at the same time, losing your mother, having the diagnosis, and then dealing with your son, and you have all these other children. That is a lot for anyone to have to deal with. And yet, here you are today, sitting here, smiling, telling us your story, looking beautiful. So how did you get through it?
You know, it's a funny thing when you are faced with an adversity like that, you run on adrenaline. You, at least I do. So the spirit of wanting to do something and fix it. I'm a fixer. I'm a doer. I want to get to the root cause of it as quickly as possible, because I don't want to lose any steps in between. I don't want to miss out on anything. I have all these kids. I don't want to miss cars and classes and games and shows and everything that they were doing. I don't want to miss spending time away from any of that. And more importantly, I want to be around for the long haul. I'm not looking to miss out. And I'm very dedicated to making sure I'm doing my best and I'm feeling my best. So I had to revamp everything, my whole way of thinking, including how I was modeling and working with Max in his addictions and in his mental health journey. So for me especially, I started educating myself from A to Z, books, counselors, doctors, specialists, podcasts, whatever I could. So on one end, I'm looking at everything I can do for myself to keep my body clean, which means stopping sugar, stopping dairy, stopping red meat, increasing activity, making my endorphins be more enhanced with physical activity. And then I started doing more meditation, breathing exercises. And I don't mean meditation as in, oh, she's hours out there and you can't talk to her and you can't approach her. No. I mean just simple breathing meditation in the morning before I even let my feet touch the ground of I am clean, I am clear, I am healthy, I am capable. And I would repeat that to myself every morning and every night. And it's so important how you frame your mindset so that you can actually help yourself heal, help yourself to become better. Yes, there's modern medicine, and I am a huge proponent of it, believe me. But I am also a huge believer in helping yourself and in modeling that for those that you love, so that when my kids walk in the door, they know they are going to hear music, they're going to see affirmations, they're going to have fresh fruit all over the place, and they are going to come into a house that is open and welcoming and loving, and nothing is off limits to talk about, including colon cancer, including mental illness, including drug use, including recovery.
It sounds like you have a wonderful environment to live in. It just sounds so positive and open, supportive.
It is, and believe me, that does not happen overnight, because I was in a very dark place for well over a year after the surgery of not knowing, was I going to be able to walk normally? Was I going to be able to go to the bathroom normally? Was I going to be able to have intimacy? There were a lot of concerns over how the body would heal. I had a third of my colon removed and then had to have it resectioned. So just walking was painful. Sitting down to use the bathroom was painful. There was nothing that I could do that was going to take away that specific pain unless I allowed my body to heal. I could not walk 5 steps without having some type of repercussion. At 53 years old, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to wear Depends for the rest of my life. That's not sexy. When I use the bathroom, if there's not a fan, everybody's gonna hear what's going on. These are things that you don't want to talk about, but they're real. And these are things that I had to recognize and really bring myself to a point to know that this could be how you're going to be for the rest of your life, Lisa. So, let's see where the ride takes you. That made me want to even more learn how to care for my body, and then teach people that. Teach friends, teach family, teach others. If you don't do this, this is the result. This is the end result. So how amazing that you have that within you to be able to better yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, because it would have been very easy, just hit the easy button, lay down and say, okay, this is it. Oh, well, I guess this is how I'll be. But I was not going to do that because that was not my life. That was not how it was going to pan out. So I, again, would always remind people it's okay to talk about things that aren't pretty. People want to talk about, oh, breast augmentation. Oh, look at my beautiful lips. Oh, that's wonderful, really. But that's all cosmetic. What's important is what's inside you. Is it healthy? Is what you're doing for yourself going to give you longevity? Going to allow you to live your best and healthiest life? So that to me is enormously important. And I talk the talk, but I also walk the walk. So yes, dark days for certain, but when you can come out on the other side, every day seems like a great day, and every day is a great day.
And you are a changed person, and you're an advocate, and I really respect you. A lot of the things that you were saying, as a patient myself for all these years, nobody wants to talk to you about it. You start talking, and people are like, "It's disgusting. I don't want to talk about that." But hey, this is the life I live, And so you start becoming smaller and smaller and smaller because nobody wants to have a conversation about it. So thank you for being brave and coming here and sharing all these things. I want to end on a high note, which is obviously the fact that 5 years in remission, thank God, that's beautiful. Tell us some of your favorite things.
So it's so funny when people will say to me, well, what do you love? I love the water. I love music. I love the color yellow. It's bright. My most favorite thing to eat is pizza. Okay, yeah, that's not on the list of you should have it, but it's definitely my go-to. And for me, just being outdoors, I now ride anywhere between 15 and 20 miles a day. I get up early in the morning and I try to get in 5 to 8 miles, and then at night when I get home. And I actually pledge rides to friends who are battling cancer, who are battling with depression, because I think it's the awareness of what we need to do to help others. So I love to do that. If I can just help one person, I've changed the world. So that to me is what's vital.
Amazing. That is what this platform is all about. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your amazing story. How can people get in touch with you?
I would love it. I would love to be a supporter, a coach, a mentor, a listener. You can reach me on my Instagram. It's at LBT924. And I would welcome any message. And yes, I really will come sit with you while you're doing your prep. I don't mind one bit.
Lisa, thank you so much for that. Are you over on Clubhouse? I can't remember. I think that's where we met. Yes.
We met in the Miracle Morning Room, which is a fabulous room. Yes.
Yes, it is.
A great supporter of humans and a great way to start days. So absolutely find me on Clubhouse and follow me there as I follow you. And yes. It's just a wonderful platform of information and community and people supporting people.
And tell people how they can find you on Clubhouse, please.
So I am also at LBT924 on Clubhouse. And if you'd like an invite, please reach out to me on Instagram. I'd be happy to send you an invite. And you can follow me on Clubhouse at The Miracle Morning, at Pause, Breathe, Reflect, and at a club that's most dear to my heart, Shatter the Stigma, where we talk about normalizing everything from mental illness, mental wellness, and addiction.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Please come back and see us on one of our other shows. We'd love to have you back on any of our shows. Just go to bookyoursession.com.
Thank you. I would love it. Thank you so much. I'm wishing you a gentle afternoon. Thank you for bringing the importance to this to life. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you. Thank you for being here on our platform today. We really appreciate you. And I'm so glad for your good health report.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you again later. Thank you, Lisa. Bye. What a delight. And to come forward with her story, it's not easy. And I appreciate people who are transparent and want to help others. And Lisa Toney is definitely one of those people. As I mentioned at the beginning of our segment, I do a lot of work for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, and we have one of our major events is coming up June the 5th. It's the Take Steps Walk, and I have my own team, Dr. J's Colitis Crew. So I am woefully short on my fundraising. So if you would go over to my Facebook page, Jacalyn Kerbeck, my personal page, I'm streaming it here, and make a donation, $1, $2, anything. Seriously, I remember everyone who's ever donated. It means a lot to me. I have people coming to my support group, people in their 20s, in the hospital 16 times last year, people who are, going on a bag. I mean, just they're in pain. It's chronic, incurable illnesses of Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And of course, we talked today about colon cancer. So please help, do whatever it is you can. We'd really appreciate it. I am going to leave you as I go get changed for our last show of the day, the variety show. I will leave you with one plug, which I mentioned at the beginning. I launched my new book. It means the world to me. If you would go over to Amazon and pick up a copy, it's $19.99. And you don't have to be someone interested in broadcasting. I share with you how and why I left corporate. March 6th of last year was my last paycheck, and my personal stories along the way and how I built this broadcasting platform. And if you're interested in live streaming, which is not podcasting, read the book. If you are an entrepreneur who's looking to branch out, if you're someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, if you're a woman in business, if you're a woman, this book's for you. So thank you again for listening and for being here. I will say a goodbye for now and see you at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 11 p.m. British Summer Time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lisa. Take care.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.